March 6, 2019, Jalgaon, Maharashtra. It was late at night and the space around the Usha Sadan residential area was quiet. But in a small apartment on the third floor, a terrible tragedy was silently unfolding. At 11 p.m., a panicked call rang out. "Uncle, the house has been robbed. Jagdish has been killed. Please come quickly." On the other end of the line was Vali, the young wife of less than 3 months, sobbing, her voice trembling. Relatives rushed over. The door was flung open. Vali was hugging her husband's body on the bed, crying in despair. The house was in disarray as if it had just been ransacked. At first, everyone believed it was a robbery with fatal consequences. But just a few hours later, the autopsy results shocked everyone. Jagdish did not die from robbery. He was poisoned, then strangled. And the last person to be with him was his wife. Let us delve into this shocking case, and a crime covered up with tears but prepared with smiles. Jagdish is a young man born and raised in the small village of Raver in the Jalgaon district of Maharashtra. His family is poor. His father works as a barber to support his 2 brothers' education. Being a gentle, quiet, and principled person, Jagdish always dreamed of having a stable life with his family. After finishing high school in the village, he moved to live with his brother in Thane City, hoping to find a good job to change his life. Despite months of hardship, he finally got a job at a pharmaceutical company, a turning point for a poor family like his. When he had a stable job, the family started thinking about getting Jagdish married. And then, a girl named Vali Thore appeared in his life. Vali was then 22 years old from Mad Village. She stood out with her beautiful appearance and modern style. In the eyes of Jagdish's family, Vali was the ideal bride, young, attractive, and soft-spoken. As soon as he saw her photo, Jagdish nodded in agreement without hesitation. The pre-wedding meetings all went smoothly. After the engagement, the two often called and texted. Their feelings seemed to be developing well, but the reality inside was not that simple. During the wedding preparations, Vali refused to marry twice, even threatening to commit suicide by poisoning if forced to marry. But under pressure from her family, she reluctantly agreed and signed a commitment not to do anything foolish in the future. As for Jagdish, he did not know that the girl who was about to walk down the aisle with him had a strange soul. He was a simple man, did not drink, did not party, did not follow modern trends, completely opposite to what Vali wanted in a husband. From the first moment of entering marriage, they had been living parallel lives, one trying to cultivate, the other silently counting down the days to escape. Unlike many eager newlyweds, Jagdish and Vali entered into marriage with 2 hearts that were not in sync. Just a few weeks before the wedding, Vali took the initiative to tell Jagdish that she did not want to get married. The reason? "I want to focus on my work. I am not ready to start a family right now. Even if we get married, we will never be happy." She even suggested that Jagdish be the one to back out in order to avoid being accused of breaking off the engagement. When he refused, she threatened, "If I am forced to marry, I will drink poison. It will all be on you." Jagdish was stunned. All the wedding preparations were done. He was in a dilemma. Finally, both families pressured Vali to go ahead, and to ensure there were no incidents, the groom's family asked Vali to write a non-suicide pledge as a precaution. Their marriage began not with love, but with coercion and insecurity. After getting married on 29 December 2018, Jagdish and Vali lived with their husband's family in a housing complex in Kadakpada. At first, everything seemed normal, but after a few weeks, small conflicts began to appear and quickly escalated. Vali often expressed her discomfort at living with her husband's family. She complained about the control, the traditional lifestyle, the lack of privacy. She asked to move out, something Jagdish was initially hesitant about, but because he wanted a peaceful marriage, he gave in and rented a small apartment in Usha Sadan. From there, they started a separate life, just the 2 of them in the small apartment. But instead of improving, married life gradually became a prison for Vali. During the days living in Usha Sadan, the neighbors did not see anything unusual. Jagdish still went to work regularly. Vali stayed home to do housework. But few people knew that the young wife was secretly planning to escape the marriage she hated. Just a few days before the wedding, Vali had failed to poison Jagdish. At a small party at home, she secretly put poison in the lunchbox she gave him. But when she opened it at home, Jagdish smelled something strange and poured it away. He did not suspect anything, and so Vali continued to live with him as if nothing had happened. Less than 3 months after the wedding, Vali understood. If you want freedom, there is only one way. Jagdish must disappear. The distorted psychology, family pressure, hatred of real life, and the distorted belief that if you just get rid of your husband, you can start over. All of these turned the young woman into a cold-blooded killer wearing a gentle mask. And then, that fateful night came, March 6th, a seemingly peaceful evening. But inside the small apartment, every step of the murder plan had been meticulously prepared by Vali. Night of March 6th, 2019, Usha Sadan, Jalgaon. It was late. The clock read 10:30 p.m. Jagdish had just finished a long day at the pharmaceutical company. As usual, he returned to the small apartment where the couple lived separately, a space that he hoped would make their marriage warmer. Vali greeted him with a small smile. The dinner had been prepared. Meat, curry, chapati, all neatly arranged on the table. "Eat, I cooked your favorite dish today," she said, her voice sweet. No one expected that. In every bite of that food, Vali had secretly mixed a large amount of rat poison. She had prepared it in advance, hidden the bottle under the sink, and mixed it while Jagdish was taking a bath. Jagdish ate his dinner normally without any suspicion. After eating, he tiredly went to bed, complaining of a slight stomachache. Only 30 minutes later, his body started to react violently. He vomited, sweated, and trembled. His eyes rolled back. His stomach cramped. He tried to sit up, staggered towards the bathroom. But before he could take a few steps, Vali rushed towards him. Vali had hidden a strong nylon rope, which she had bought and kept under her pillow many days before. Waiting for the moment when Jagdish was at his weakest, she quickly wrapped the rope around her husband's neck, squeezing it tightly with both hands. Jagdish struggled in pain. His hands tried to untie the rope, his legs kicked hard, his body convulsed. But his strength was exhausted because of the poison in his body. Meanwhile, Vali still held on tight, her face cold as ice. Not a scream, not a last word. Only a faint sound from a blocked throat and a gasp that gradually died away. When all the movement stopped, Jagdish was dead. Immediately after that, Vali overturned some furniture in the house, making the room look like it had been ransacked. She took off all her wedding jewelry, necklace, bracelet, gold ring, and hid them, creating a fake scene. At 11 p.m., she called her husband's uncle, Mr. Nandlal, her voice trembling. "Uncle, there's a thief. Jagdish has been murdered. Please come quickly." She cried and screamed. The neighbors heard the noise and started to come. Vali hugged her husband's body, crying miserably like a wife grieving the loss of her husband. Many people witnessed the scene, but no one suspected that she was the culprit. When the police and relatives arrived, Vali was still sobbing, constantly repeating a scenario. "I went to the market to buy vegetables when I came. Back, I found the house ransacked. He was lying motionless on the bed. I don't know what happened." But while words may lie, her eyes do not. In the dark corner of the room, in the flickering light, Vali's gaze did not carry the grief of a wife who had lost her husband, but rather a look of caution, worry, and concealment. She had carefully prepared the play, but she did not expect that a small detail in the forensic report would bring it all down. The night call. "There's a thief. My husband has been murdered. Please come quickly." That was the tearful line Vali uttered over the phone, calling her husband's uncle, Mr. Nandlal. Hearing her voice, he panicked and immediately informed Jagdish's brother, Jagdish Salunki, who lived just a few streets away. A few minutes later, both men arrived at the apartment. The first thing they saw was Vali holding Jagdish's body lying motionless on the bed, tears streaming down her face, screaming for her husband. The house was in disarray, furniture scattered everywhere, just like a real robbery. But Kishan and Nandlal wasted no time. They immediately carried Jagdish into the auto rickshaw and rushed straight to the nearest clinic. There was still a glimmer of hope in their minds that their brother might still be alive. At Rukminibai Hospital, the doctors quickly received and checked the victim's condition. But less than a few minutes later, they quietly looked at the family, shaking their heads slightly. "We are so sorry. He died before we got here." No one said a word. Kishan sat down on the ground. Nandlal was shocked to see the body of his nephew, whom he had taken to school since he was a child. And Vali, the young wife, continued to cry bitterly, tightly holding her husband's cold hand. As per the rules, the hospital immediately reported to the Kadakpada police station and the Jalgaon City Command Center. Within 30 minutes, a sub-inspector and an investigation team from Kwati Station arrived at the hospital, carrying the necessary paperwork to begin a preliminary investigation. When they saw Jagdish's body, something strange happened that made the police pause longer than usual. There was a circular bruise on the victim's neck, consistent with strangulation with a rope, not injuries from a burglary or a struggle. The sub-inspector immediately called his superiors and reported, "It's not a simple robbery. There are signs of murder." After taking the body to the morgue for examination, the police returned to the apartment to examine the scene that night. Although the furniture was turned upside down, there were no signs of the main door being broken into, no signs of forced entry, or signs of intrusion from the outside. The police suspected that the scene was staged. In particular, all of Vali's wedding jewelry was reported missing, but there were no signs of the closet being ransacked. Instead, the items were arranged haphazardly in a very selective manner. When asked, Vali persisted with the same scenario. "There were no vegetables left at home that night. I told Jagdish to buy some, but he forgot. I went to the market to buy some. When I returned, I saw the house in a mess, and he was lying motionless. I was so scared that I called his uncle and brother." The statement seemed reasonable, but there was a suspicious detail that made the police more suspicious. No one at the market confirmed seeing Vali that night. No witnesses, no market cameras, and no vegetable packages in the kitchen. The next morning, Jagdish's body was taken to the city's forensic center for an autopsy. The forensic doctors noted two unusual points. 1. There were signs of poison in the stomach. 2. There were strong strangulation marks around the neck, causing damage to the trachea. The official forensic conclusion: the cause of death was strangulation with a nylon rope after being poisoned. This was a shocking detail. If it was a robbery, the perpetrator would not have wasted time poisoning and then killing. This behavior could only have come from someone who lived with the victim and had access to food. The police now understood that this was no longer a robbery, but a meticulously planned murder. The investigation team immediately returned to the scene, this time with a new perspective, looking for evidence from the inside. They searched the kitchen, the cooking area, and discovered a bottle of rat poison in the corner of the cupboard, covered with a towel. There were no traces of newly purchased food in the refrigerator. The dinner plate still had leftover food scraps. Even more strangely, there was no package of vegetables as Vali had said she had bought at the market. They checked the cameras around the nearby market, but did not record Vali's image at the time she said she had gone out. When invited to the police station for formal questioning, Vali initially maintained her story. She went out, and when she returned, she found the house had been robbed and her husband dead. But when confronted with the forensic results, Vali's eyes began to waver. The police asked, if a thief had broken in, why wasn't the door broken? Why was only the wedding jewelry stolen? Vali smiled awkwardly. Maybe the thief knew how to open the lock. I really don't remember that time. The hesitant, constantly changing answers not matching the scene made the investigators believe that they were facing a perpetrator disguised as a victim. When the police worked with Jagdish's family, they revealed a series of never-before-mentioned details. Vali had twice refused the wedding, threatening to drink poison if forced. After the wedding, she often quarreled, did not get along with her husband, and constantly demanded to live separately. Notably, a few days before the wedding, Jagdish had said that the food Vali brought him had a strange smell, making him afraid to eat it and had to throw it away. All the facts began to connect in a straight line. Vali was not the victim. She was the mastermind, the one who acted, the one who swapped the truth with a tearful drama. After more than 6 hours of continuous interrogation, not allowing her to rest for long, the investigation team began to press Vali with logic and evidence. "We checked the market cameras. You didn't appear. Where's the jewelry? There's no sign of ransacking. Did you set it up yourself? Why is there a bottle of poison in the kitchen?" Vali began to panic. She sweated, repeating over and over, "I didn't mean to. I didn't think I would go that far." Finally, she put her head down on the table and admitted everything. "I mixed the drug into the food. Then, I used a rope to strangle him. I can't live with someone who doesn't suit me. I just want freedom." That confession silenced the interrogation room. No one said anything, because sometimes the truth is so cold that it is impossible to understand. A wife killed her husband just because she could not bear a life. Too simple. As soon as Vali officially confessed to the murder, the police registered a case and charged her under Section 302 of the Indian Penal Code, murder. She was remanded in custody that night, and the case was transferred to the Jalgaon Criminal Court for trial. Not surprisingly, the case attracted a lot of attention from the local public. A beautiful wife, who had been married for less than 3 months, killed her husband by mixing poison, then strangling him in the bedroom and then playing the role of a grieving wife. Too many factors for the press, the people, and the legal system to pay attention to. At the first hearing, Vali was brought in with a haggard face, wearing a simple white-gray sari. She was no longer the woman who had appeared at her wedding with a bright smile. Now, before the judge, she repeated only one thing: "I can't bear that life." The victim's family was present. Jagdish's parents were speechless, only able to bow their heads. His brother, Kishan, shed tears when he heard the prosecutor recite the details of the case: poisoning with rat poison, then strangling with nylon rope. "My brother never harmed anyone. He just wanted a small family. He didn't know that the person lying next to him was silently killing him every day." The prosecutor argued that Vali did not kill in a fit of rage. This was a premeditated crime. She had previously attempted to poison him, but then continued to live with him and attacked him a second time. The defense attorney tried to argue that his client suffered from post-marital psychosis, was under pressure from an arranged marriage, and did not receive timely support from her family. However, these defenses were not convincing enough. After several hearings, the judge announced, "The accused Vali Thore is convicted under Section 302 IPC, murder. The accused will be sentenced to rigorous imprisonment without any leniency." The entire trial ended with the sobs of the groom's family. Justice had come, but the loss was something no sentence could compensate. Outside the courthouse, people were whispering and the newspapers were shouting headlines. "Beautiful bride, the culprit who killed her husband." From fairy tale wedding to shocking case. Vali Thore, crime hidden by tears. A marriage that lasted less than 3 months. A death that came in silence, without a scream, without a last word. A wife, the murderer. A husband, kind, gentle, but a victim of unrequited love and illusions that never belonged to him. Vali Thore did not kill on a whim. She thought, planned, tried to poison unsuccessfully, and continued to live together, eat together, sleep together, until that fateful night when she cooked and killed silently. One could argue that Vali was the victim of a forced marriage, but what could justify such a cold-blooded murder plan? Perhaps if her family had listened when she protested the marriage. Perhaps if society had not considered resistance as impulsive. Perhaps if someone dared to say marriage is not a duty, life is not a hostage. But there was no if enough to save Jagdish's life. This case is a wake-up call for many things. Marriage cannot be forced. No one should enter another's life with a heart full of resistance. Death never comes suddenly. It usually begins with silence, with resignation, with uncertainty that no one is willing to face. And sometimes the killer is not a stranger. It is the person who kissed you goodnight every night. Jagdish did not die of love. He died because he believed that love could save a marriage that was already broken from the inside. Thank you for following the story to the end. If you think this is a story that needs to be known by more people, please share it so that no one else has to become a victim just because of the two words, forced.